It's Levack and Goz on 104.5 The Team.
We know some things, and we know what we saw, but the man who's been following the Cavs closer than anybody, our buddy Alex Hooper, 92.3 The Fan in Cleveland. Alex, what did you see? What happened with the Cavs in Game 1?
Kevin Durant happened, I can tell you that much. This is not the same team that the Cavs saw in the last two NBA Finals. I mean, it's really not even the team that they saw twice earlier in the year. You know, they game planned kind of for what they had 2 years ago and a year ago with the Warriors, and it's a completely different team. You got killed, I mean, obviously by Durant, but you're trying to switch out and switch every screen. Tristan Thompson's out there, you know, switching on to Steph Curry. Kevin Love's out there switching on to, you know, whoever he can. And then you give up a ton of offensive rebounds. And when you give Kevin Durant, Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, and then whoever that fifth guy is, you give them extra chances, they're most likely going to put it down. And then, you know, just as the game went on, things started to fall apart a little bit. I think it really started, you know, in the third quarter on that breakaway with Durant where J.R. Smith went out to cover the corner and just left Durant right down the lane. I think at that point the spirits kind of became a little broken, and when LeBron goes into the half with 7 turnovers already, I don't think guys are feeling very great about it. But, I mean, to be honest, it's kind of what I expected in Game 1. Until, you know, this Cavs team loses Game 3, I don't think I will count them out, but it wasn't good. I mean, by no stretch of the imagination was anything about last night good other than you got it out of the way, but it was a punch in the mouth, and it's kind of what you expected from the Warriors.
Alex, you said a Game 3 loss is where you get nervous. I've said I believe the Cavs need to win one of the first two for me to truly believe in them. Am I asking too much?
No, I don't think so. I mean, if you want to, they have to win a game on the road at some point, and winning on the road in Game 6 or Game 7 for your first road win, that's asking a lot, and it's not the position you want to put yourself in. I can see, you know, how you would feel that way. I could see how, you know, if you see the Warriors come out and they hit them with the right last night, if they come back with a left hook, you know, on Sunday, then I can completely understand why anyone would count them out to a degree. I mean, obviously 3-1 leads, et cetera, but like I said, it's a different team. They have more firepower, and the Cavs can't afford to go down 3-1 again, especially not to this team. The reason I say Game 3, though, is because I'm never going to count LeBron out, and I think I said this last time I talked to you guys. You know, I'm never going to count LeBron out when he has the chance to game plan over 7 games. I think he's going to come back with a much different look. I think Game 2 will at least be competitive into the last minute, 2 minutes because of that. But I think once it shifts back to Cleveland and he hasn't still found an answer, I mean, obviously you're already down 3-0 if you do lose that game, and there's no coming back from that unless, you know, another miracle happens. But I think just once that third game happens, and if you're down big at halftime or you go down 20 again, I think everyone sees, you know, we don't have an answer, and that's kind of when it comes to an end.
104.5 The Team, Levack and Goz hanging out with Alex Hooper from 92.3 The Fan in Cleveland.
And you guys are touching on if Cleveland can get Game 3 or Game 2, but really we have to get to how it could happen. This is a team that lost by 20-plus points last night. What's the biggest adjustment they have to make to be more competitive?
The main thing that stuck out to me is, I mean, first of all, in the first half, the game looked too fast for them. And when you consider, you know, who they've been playing for the last couple of months, it's not very surprising. I mean, you could do things like post up J.R. Smith, dump the ball down to him, he could take a dribble, turn, fade away, whatever. You could do that against the Boston Celtics, the Toronto Raptors, the Indiana Pacers, what have you. You can't do that against the Golden State Warriors. They played a completely different brand of basketball. They're playing a completely different group of teams out in the West. And you have to get back to what you did last year where, you know, that ball's not touching the floor. It's being swung around the perimeter, and then you got to create offense off of that. You can't go back to this isolation play with LeBron and Kyrie where it's just ISO. It has to be back to, nobody puts the ball on the floor until they have an open lane, and then you drive and you kick, or you drive and you take it straight to the hole. I think just they need to dictate the pace of the game a little more, and that starts with being in the moment, being in the game, and not scrambling as much as you did early on. I think that was just kind of the key. It got out of hand early. I mean, they were able to keep it within reach, but the Warriors, they were themselves for all 48 minutes. They were able to dictate play. They were able to dictate tempo, and they never blinked. And the Cavs were the ones making the first adjustment, and they're going to have to make, the first mid-game adjustment going into Game 2, and they're going to have to stick with it early, or else, you run that risk again of guys starting to think, man, we really don't have an answer.
We would have thought that it was Durant or Curry or LeBron after the game getting the most talk on social media, but instead it was Rihanna. Do you have any more background information on this whole LeBron-Rihanna love affair?
I just know Rihanna is crazy about LeBron. I mean, she'll throw ball in bigger than LeBron, blank, whatever, money. I don't remember the thing. You get it.
Yeah.
I was too busy trying to censor myself and think of the rest of the line. But, there was she had an Instagram post where she was laying by the pool and she had suntan lotion sprayed in 23 on her stomach and then tagged LeBron in that, like right on the 23. And
I'll look it up now.
I think she's really, it's there. It's still there. I think she's really into LeBron. I think that's her end game. I don't think it's going to happen. LeBron's a bit of a family man, and he's got quite a beautiful family. So I think that's a one-way love affair, although I think if you're a man, no matter how prominent and Rihanna is professing her love for you, you still feel pretty good, and you can let that ride. I don't think you're going to come out and be like, hey, don't do that. I think LeBron's just A-OK with that love affair, as you called it.
Alex Hooper, he's our Cavs insider right here on 104.5 The Team, your home for New York sports. Did you ever think that there would be a series between your Cleveland Cavaliers and the Golden State Warriors, and the biggest star on the court would be there for Cleveland?
I mean, it's hard to. It's tough, man.
So
when you. What were you saying?
No, I can tell you didn't want to get in the whole Rihanna thing any more than you already did. So I was going to throw you a lifeline.
No, it's just you get that for the finals. It was so cool. The Eastern Conference Finals. I walked in and I was kind of in the building, and I dropped something. I took a step back, and I stepped on a shoe, and I turned around, and it was Shaq. I stepped on Shaq's shoe, and I was like, all right, I felt bad, but, how am I supposed to miss that shoe? And then later in the day, Dave Chappelle and Amy Schumer show up, and they're like two heroes of mine, and you're trying to maintain some sort of professionalism, but it's so cool. 2 finals ago, the first of this matchup, Chappelle was there. The Currys were just kind of down in that tunnel. Everyone was there. They were just shuttling people in and out, and that's why it kind of took me a second. I was trying to remember everyone who was there, but I can't. But you're right. You have these guys. LeBron's bigger than Earth, but Rihanna's got that universal appeal. Everybody knows Rihanna, and this series kind of has that universal appeal. You had the hosts of the Barbara Walters show, the Talk Dispute, one
View,
of the talk shows with the women. Yeah, they were all wearing jerseys, and people are into it. So yeah, I never really had thought about it in that context. We're sports guys, so we're like, yeah, what about this XO, whatever. But Rihanna, she did steal the show. She was the talk.
How are the fans doing right now in Cleveland? You're there. You have the pulse. Last year, it felt like Cleveland wanted it so badly. Is that thirst for a victory still there?
Yeah, I think so. I got asked that, yesterday too, and I think a lot of it was when the Indians lost in the World Series. I mean, people were hungry then too when it was happening, but when the Tribe lost, everyone kind of got that chip back on their shoulder, whether or not it was deserved. I mean, you were still a championship city, but I think that thirst is still there. I think now that you're back, I think people here now are all about, proving that Cleveland's not just a fluke. Now, obviously, this is a very special situation with two very special teams, and there's a whole lot into it other than Cleveland versus Oakland, Bay Area, whatever. But a lot of people are still really hitching their wagons to, just the confidence. Cleveland fans got cocky on Twitter, on social media after that championship last year, and they've kind of ridden that high for a year now and just making jokes at everyone's expense. The 3-1 lead joke was driven into the ground and maybe down through the crust and into the core of the earth and even further. And just everyone wanted to make that joke over and over. People still talking about the behind-the-back pass from Curry, and just people loved it. So now you kind of get yourself in a position where, as fans, you don't want to be on the other end of that thing again. So I think that is a big motivating factor, actually.
Alex Hooper, 92.3 The Fan in Cleveland. We appreciate your help, my brother.
Thanks for having me as always, guys.